Hello, and welcome to the Craveable Podcast. We are your hosts, Ben and Katie, and this show is brought to you by Fossil Farms. So, Ben, welcome. Good to be back in the seat here.
Yeah, great to be back. Great to see you across the table.
Great to see you.
Meeting of the minds.
I don't ever see you enough during the work week.
That's because our backs are turned to each other, the 15 feet we sit apart from each other. So.
I have to say, that was a mildly facetious comment, but that is okay.
But today's a blessing because I get to look right at you.
Today's a great day. So we decided that we wanted to talk about food shows. And in thinking about it, you know, a lot of consumers, foodies, you know, probably a lot of you that are listening to this maybe haven't been to a food show or know what it is or know about them. And we at Fossil Farms have had a really busy season so far with food shows, like absurdly busy. And we've got more coming up in the fall. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. And so we kind of wanted to dig into that. So, I mean, I feel like it might seem obvious or self-explanatory, but a food show can vary in size and it can be with different types of focus. I mean, there are various food shows that are just about specific things like, you know, meat. There's a food show that's all about meat. There's an NRA food show, and that is not the National Rifle Association. No. That is the National Restaurant Association. And, you know, that aptly, as the name conveys, that's primarily for restaurants, chefs, things like that. And one of the food shows that we recently participated in is called the Fancy Food Show. It happens at least twice a year, I believe. And the Summer Fancy Food Show is held in New York City. And that is a retail-focused food show. So basically, all types of vendors from all around the country and sometimes the world are both, you know, presenting there and kind of also attending there to showcase products, whether they're new, old, you know, testing market research. And the people that attend these shows are looking to basically find new stuff, meet new people, see what's out there, and kind of get after it.
And they usually have like some of the best or like a lot of higher end products, as the Fancy Food Show kind of entails, hosted by the Specialty Food Association. And I mean, I hate to toot our own horn. We probably had the best booth there. I didn't see every single booth, but I think it goes without saying we had one of the better ones, especially kind of in the line of work that we do with the launch of our new retail line. Check it out if you haven't. Stores by you.
new salamis.
Yeah, new salamis, all that. We're not going to pitch too much, but like we're genuinely excited about some of the stuff that we come out with. And there's something like 1,000 different domestic and international companies that come. And as we both have like walked the show a couple times, and they'll literally cordon it off with nationality. So like you'll be walking through Greece and then next to it's Turkey. I wonder how they deal with that, if it's football season going on or soccer season or something like that. And I think the international host this year was Japan, the great nation of Nippon. And there was Italy, there's what else? I mean, there's France,
Spain,
obviously, Spain, all of that stuff. You go to Spain, you're like, wow, I've never seen so much cured ham in my life. There's a lot of pig legs out in the best way. And
the entire Italian section just smells like truffles, which is really offensive if you're me.
Yeah, and me. I'm like, yeah, the truffles are great and all, but like, I don't know, are they? One of those things. I'm like, you dug it out of the dirt?
I don't care where it came from. I just care that it makes me viscerally upset.
I can't afford this fancy dirt.
Very, very, very true.
But there's every kind of brand. I mean, there's small brands. There's like really, like literally companies that are like making under $1 million a year, and they kind of get showcased by the association as like up and coming brands. And then there's massive companies that everybody's heard of.
Barilla Pasta, for example.
Who was in our aisle, which was really interesting. They were literally right down the way. I think you, me, Stacy, and unfortunately we didn't get one for TJ, but we will next year. We had a little tote bag with a zipper on it. I actually took it to the beach. I really like it. Even though it's like, you know, it's not my preferred brand of pasta, whatever, that's fine. You know, unless there's a sale, it's no big deal. But, and, you know, there's lots of pasta. There's tons of pasta, tons of sauces, barbecue sauce. We had a like coffee and tea place across the way from us. There's spices. I mean, everything you can think of that kind of goes into a retail packaging. I mean, fancy marshmallows, chocolate, fish.
I mean, there's candy. It's interesting the way that this food show that we're talking about now is organized because, as Ben said, so it's 2 floors at the Jacob Javits Center in New York, which is just a massive space, but it's 2 floors. I mean, last year we did it. I had the same problem where I left the booth looking specifically for another booth, and I just gave up because I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going back to the pasta booth. I'm lost.
It's a maze.
But within like those two floors, there are those sections where it's like these rows are Italy, these rows are Greece. And then they also have like what they call pavilions, which are basically just like a larger section. So
Yeah.
they have like the beverage pavilion, which is basically just drinks, obviously. And they have like the snacks pavilion and things like that. But outside of those, organizational factors, the booths that are, not in one of those sections, it's kind of like a free for all. It's not like we were in a row with all meat companies.
Yeah.
Just like Ben
Would be
said.
nice to like kind of like stand above the rest in that section.
Yeah. I mean, I would think if anything, just ease of, navigation for the attendees, the guests. But just like Ben said, I mean, we were on the end. So one side of us, was empty. And then we had some iced tea people next to us and a beverage company across from us and
olive oil,
a couple, booths down was Barilla. So it's kind of random.
Yeah, which now that I'm thinking about it, I guess in a way it's kind of to get you to walk up and down all the aisles and kind of go to see everything, especially if you're attending. Because there's vendors there, and then there's also attendees, and then there's people who are like just guests, and everybody has like a little placard and like kind of what their position is, and if they're a decision maker, if they're a buyer. I mean, there's like second market buyers. There's literally everybody you can imagine in the food industry, and what I love about that is the fact that you have this huge array of people from the ground level of like literally someone who's like, it's me and my partner and we're going to this massive food show and running our booth. And then you have people who are like, I run a multi-million-dollar multinational company and I'm also here to find something new. And it's like that intermingling of things. So you have people come up to you and you're like trying to read the tag. Sometimes they're wearing someone else's tag. You literally do not know who you're talking to until you actually have a conversation going on. And it's so industry specific that you can actually just jump right into talking about food and like getting really passionate and people are curious. So kind of like just incentivizes these conversations you wouldn't normally have, even if you're doing like business to business sales like we do all day. Like it's at a totally different echelon in the best way.
Well, you kind of I was going to make a comment or bring something up that was kind of relevant to what you're saying, but then you just kind of kept going. So it's you were past that now.
Yeah.
But,
no, let's go back.
Okay. So about, not knowing who you're speaking to, badge aside, because the badge was like what's it called when it's like something to distract you from, I don't know. It was
a distraction.
The badge did not say this, but I had a very lovely and jovial conversation with the COO of Boar's Head, whom I complimented on his tan.
I remember you telling me that.
Before finding out who he was.
Yeah, and I think he had someone else's tag on too. Because a lot of these people, I mean, if you're one of those people and you know you're going to get asked questions and people are going to pitch you on things, like you do want to go incognito. You know what I mean? I'm surprised he didn't have that kind of, big nose, mustache, glasses thing going on.
No, he was, I
forget the name, something with a G, but not important.
He looked, whatever, he looked like normal. He looked like a guy who lives in Florida, hence the tan. But no, I mean, this show is massive. Like the scale of it is like almost sheer chaos. I mean, I can't tell you how many, probably tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, it's like
there.
10 football fields or more. It's probably bigger. It is literally humongous.
It's wild, and it runs for 3 days. So it's a Sunday, a Monday, and a Tuesday. And you've got sometimes people are coming back, each day. And like Ben said, there's all different attendees, and there's like a color block on the bottom of your, the tag on your lanyard that says kind of who you are. So us as, exhibitors, we're called, had a little, black block that said exhibitor. And then you have people that say retailer, and then some say key buyer, and some say distributor, exporter. And there was even ones that were like students. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure what they're here for, but okay. But yeah, there's all types of people. And I mean, what can be frustrating about it sometimes is sometimes you'll have a great conversation with someone and you can't even really work with them. Like they're a Japanese company that, operates only out of Japan and we can't export to them. And it's like, oh man, but I love your stuff. And I'm like, I know, this is terrible.
Yeah, I had that exact experience. This girl came up to me and she was translating in Italian to, I don't know if it was like a family-owned business, but like an older gentleman and his wife, and they were like dressed to the nines, like just nice Italian suits, good for them. And she was just translating everything. And she was like, oh, he's had so many salamis and he tried your salamis and said they were amazing. Is there any way we can get in touch? And I was like, I mean, we can like totally stay in touch. That'd be fun and we can be friends, but we literally wouldn't be able to do anything with you because we don't export to Italy yet. Well, who knows what the future holds, but it's one of those things where you're like, oh, this is so great. And I'm so excited that people are excited and, not to be like, oh, we're only there to do business, but at the same time, because it's an industry show, you're there, you're paying money to be there to do business. And you're like, I wish we could make it work, but we still make some great connections. And again, we did have such an awesome booth. I think it kind of really just attracted people over to it. Tell people what it looked like, because it did look pretty sick.
Well, what I was actually going to also say is, we keep just saying, oh, the booth. So virtually like everyone's booth, virtually everyone is letting people try their products. So, Barilla, they were just basically making pasta all day and handing it out in little cups. The drink companies have drink samples. There was a company in the Asian section that was just like frying up, or steaming rather, soup dumplings. So, it's very rare that you might come across a booth that isn't giving samples, because that's virtually like the whole point of the food show is, of course, like meet people, make connections, but you try the product. So our booth, it was really cool. I'm using the word booth, but it wasn't like a physical booth. It was basically like a rectangular plot area.
10 by 15.
That was ours, something like that. And, in the background, we have this, I can't believe you asked me to describe. This is so difficult to describe. In the background of it, we have this giant, like, poster. It's not a poster.
I wish I knew the technical term for that thing. I was trying to explain it to someone the other day.
Ben calls it the booth, but it's not a booth. It's like a thing. It's a large display with like a custom printed graphic on some type of moderately sheer material. And the graphic is very cool. It's got our logo and it's got like a huge blown up picture of these bison just like walking on the plains. And it has lights behind that semi-sheer fabric that I have described so aptly, so that when you turn them on, the whole thing illuminates. It looks really awesome. And then we had a little table on the side where we were sampling our 6 brand new game salamis. And each day we also had one of our chefs here, either Bianca or Jeff, cooking up a small sample. So, one day we had like little mini elk pastrami sandwiches. And then we had like an elk, what did it say? It wasn't sashimi.
Oh, it was like, like almost like a little piece of
nigiri, elk nigiri. So it was like a little bit of rice with, the elk was cold smoked. It wasn't raw, but, it was laid over there kind of like sushi, which was super cool. And then the last day we had bison croquettes, I believe. Some type of croquette.
Oh, that sounds really good. I was only there Sunday. I only got to try the elk pastrami, and I don't like sauerkraut. Whatever. Nobody's fault.
Complainer.
But we also get a big fridge, like what they did for us, because we were displaying the retail
that's literally
line.
half of the freaking...
I was going to get there eventually.
I dropped the ball. I don't know what to tell you.
Same team.
Yeah.
And so they have like a basically like if you're at a grocery store and they have that reach-in fridge. So we get one of those, then we put all of our retail line in there for it to be displayed, which is really cool because I've seen
stand up. I just want to clarify. This is like a vertical display.
Yeah. Like if you went into a deli, they'd have like drinks and sandwiches in there, or like a grocery store again would have like that grab and go kind of look to it. And I love that because I've seen our retail product in stores or like, clients that I work with and partners I work with, and they get a small amount of that line because not everything's going to work for everyone.
Yeah, they're not going to carry all like 30 different items.
Right, exactly. You're allowed to, FYI, you can buy every single one of the items. I think it's almost like 40 or 45 items.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And it was great to see that all together and like actually see all the hard work everybody had put in for so long between the like the design and like dealing with nutritionals and everything that it entails to have like true USDA labeling on a retail line and just have it all displayed there. It looked so good.
Yeah,
I was genuinely impressed.
It looked awesome. One of the more kind of fun, less business-like aspects that I want to go into, and you were giving me you-know-what about it yesterday. So, there's all these samples, right? And you can go around and you try them. And there's also a lot of companies that have, like, a pre-packaged sample. So, like, there was a company that did baking mixes, and they had little, tiny, like, plastic cups with a little lid, and each one had like a little square of cake with frosting in it, and they had tiny plastic spoons. And there's like candy companies giving away basically pre-packaged, like very small single serving or single bite samples. And so all of us throughout the show were there all day, kind of take a break in lieu of like a break, we'll head out for 10, 15 minutes, kind of just stroll around the show, like go check out whatever we want.
30 minutes. Sometimes you're like, where are they? It's like, I got lost somewhere.
I literally
I was in Italy.
I literally got
I was
lost.
trying to get back and I got lost in Greece.
But you have to bring, you take your Barilla branded bag or whatever type of reusable bag that you have, gotten, and you go around and, I mean, listen, if it's free, it's for me, okay? I cannot emphasize that enough. And so I love the samples, because then what happens after the food show, I feel myself getting red again now, I'm embarrassed. What happens after the food show is like, I could go home, and then for like a week or two, I have all these like fun little like snacks, like a little bag of nuts, a little bag of whatever, yogurt bites.
A dozen cinnamon rolls.
Listen, we were getting there and it was only 9, okay? Can you simmer down?
Sorry.
So on the last day of the show, there's many, 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 many vendors or exhibitors, we'll say, that have no interest in lugging back from wherever they came from all of the product that they brought to sample. They're carrying enough as it is. I mean, we're in New Jersey. We just drove in. There's people that flew in from across the country, from around the world.
Yeah.
So people like these cinnamon bun people, let's just go ahead and use that. On the last day, they were like down another aisle from us, and they had their boxes of cinnamon buns they didn't go through, and they literally were just like stacking them up, in front of their booth. So I strolled over there and, I said, can I help you guys out with these?
Yeah. You look like you need my help.
And they're like, yeah, sure. So they gave me a whole box of cinnamon buns of 9, not 12, Ben. And then next to them,
what are we talking about?
Next to them was like a macaroon company that had these now they really did it well, because they had these plastic trays of macaroons with like 5 different like sleeves in it. And it wasn't like, 40 of one flavor. Each sleeve was a different flavor. They were giving those out. I got a whole tray of macaroons. They're in my fridge. I'm still eating them. Listen, they're not bad, I promise.
That's fine. I took nothing home.
Yes, it was great. I mean, the walk back to Penn Station for me with 2 full bags of stuff was quite chaotic and moderately physically painful, but I made it happen.
And to your point, I mean, I think it just is happenstance that this happened 2 years in a row that we've started attending again. But it is like the first, we had a heat wave last year. We had a heat wave this year.
Oh,
and
my
if
goodness.
you've ever been in Manhattan in the summer, let alone the aroma and the humidity and all that stuff, but like that city just absolutely bakes. And from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., you're just sweating. And they do have some AC. Like we were on the lower floor this year, so it was a little bit cooler there. Plus having that display fridge was nice with like the cool air coming off of it.
Inside definitely wasn't bad. And like it's really, like fact-wise, it is not a very long walk to Penn Station. However, on that last day, now remember the food show closes at 3. So I was walking out of there. I was on a sidewalk with everyone probably at like 3:50-ish. Now, if you're gonna fact check me and like MapQuest this later, why did I just say MapQuest? Don't
what years?
Don't give me a hard time, because I'm just guesstimating the 3:50. Okay, but it was close to 4. It's close to 4. And so I'm looking up the train schedule, right? And I see there's a train at like 4:17 or whatever, and going right home to Morristown for me, and it's a 55-minute trip. And I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty close. Maybe let's see what the next one is. The next train is at like 5:45, an hour and a half later, and is an hour and 45-minute ride for whatever reason. Maybe it's, I don't know, the stops, whatever. I was like,
yeah, let's not get political about NJ Transit.
No, but I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, I have to make this train. So I'm like, guys, I gotta go. I gotta catch a train, right? So I've got my 2 bags. I must have looked like such a clown. I have my 2 bags and I'm just speed walking through New York, giving myself horrible blisters that are still healing, which I didn't get any other day, right? Because my shoes weren't uncomfortable, but I'm speed walking it. And I finally make it, and I like burst into the train station, and I go to my, what's it called? The place where the train is.
Platform?
The platform, that's the word. And I go to the platform, and I just like sit in the chair, and I'm just like, and the one thing I was glad for, I had those 2 bags of goodies, because then no one could sit next to me, because my free stuff was in the second seat.
You guys always take home a lot of swag. I mean, it's great. I do love that you get like a lot of the branded stuff, and there's always a lot of cool things. Like the Barilla bag, I know we mentioned it a couple times. It's like, it's not like the best made thing, but it is nice. But it's got a zipper. I'm going to rip that zipper off one day.
Canvas. It is thick It's a thick canvas bag. It is. It's a well-made bag. Thank you, Barilla. At Barilla.
No. It's like, no, we're not here for them.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's a great time. Back to business. That was my switch. What's also cool about it is sometimes Ben and I work inside the office. We're not part of the outside sales team. So we're not, kicking the pavement, walking around, going into businesses. We just do all our communication via phone and email. So we work with people sometimes across the country. There's people, even if they're like in Pennsylvania, we don't get to see them. Sometimes we don't meet them. We have years of a relationship built on a phone call.
And I don't know what these people look like.
And we don't know what they look. Yeah, it's crazy.
I wish they could see me. I'm cute as hell.
Yes, Ben. Yes. But so what's cool too is like sometimes it's pre-planned. Like sometimes Ben will know about it, but sometimes not. Like one of our customers will be there. It's actually crazy because I had someone who it's either a current client that never ordered or like someone that I've been going back and forth with forever, talking about getting an account set up, and they were interested, and for whatever reason, it never like really panned out. And they must have like another, like a cafe side business or something with a different name, because I had a whole conversation with this lady. And then when I saw the email and the lead listing, I was like, oh, because that was the name of the business that, I had been trying to work with. And I'm like, oh, I looked at the notes and I'm like, I definitely wrote those notes. I remember talking to this person. Like, she was very interested. I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta reach out. Like, I wish I had known then, like I'm face to face with you. And we've been emailing and calling for like a year, and I don't even know that that's you I'm talking to.
There's just so much going on.
There's a lot going on. It's really, you need a lot of caffeine to get through those days.
That was what I walked around to find, and there wasn't any like normal coffee. I ended up drinking Turkish coffee, which I've had before, but it's like extreme.
Oh, like coffee
it's really,
samples. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly. And it's very strong and like differently flavored. And I was like, I really hope this has a lot of caffeine in it because I'm not used to it. I was just putting away this super hot coffee on the hottest day of the summer.
What was fun too, you weren't there. I think this was Monday. I could be wrong, but yeah, it was Monday. We were at the booth, yeah, because Stacy was there. We were at the booth, and these ladies come by, and they're like, "Oh, can you, are you giving away any of this product?" And we're like, "No, like, what do you, And they're talking about like the meat, the fresh meat that's like in the case, and we say no, like we're not giving it away. What do you mean? So we come to find, I forget the name of the company / group that does this show. Delish.
Yeah.
Delish. We love Delish. They do some kind of like cooking competition thing, or it's like a series. I don't know. But they were having a burger competition on the main stage that day, and they needed meat to use for burgers. And then we're like, oh yeah, we can definitely help you out.
Yeah, 100%. This is free for you.
And it was so funny. They're like, we've been walking all around here, and no one has like raw, fresh ground meat. And we're like,
yeah. Do you want 10 different animals?
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So they did a little competition. I was at the booth, so I didn't see it, of course, but that was fun. That was a neat little thing that happened. We got featured, and
yeah, they got the Wagyu ground and they got the bison ground.
I thought, oh, did they? For some reason, I thought they just got the Wagyu, but I could be wrong.
No, they also got the bison because it rules.
Bison does rule. But yeah, I mean, it was a great time. It's overwhelming. Oh, we need to talk about your show.
Well, that's why I wasn't there for the other days, because I ended up leaving Sunday and then trying to go to bed and then waking up at 4 a.m. to fly down to Florida because we have a distribution partner we work with down in that area, and they're great. And they have a food show. And so they asked us to come down and also display some products because they do primarily meat distribution and fish and a few other items. Like they're what they call a broadline distributor. So they basically carry everything that a restaurant would need. It's primarily, again, like the meat and the seafood, but then there's deli meats and they have like paper cups and gloves and stuff like that.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's interesting because you're like, oh, like look at this. They have like a fountain of cheese or something like that, which is really interesting. And they have like hard lemonade that everybody's like goes there for. So like fancy food doesn't have any alcohol, but this show was like, it's Florida, it's hot. Here's some like ice cold lemonade. And like, here's a shot of Tito's to put into it, which is interesting if you're walking the show, and like very interesting if you're working the show. Cause you're like, wow, it's 10 a.m.
Yeah. Why are people, why are you drinking a vodka
get me
lemonade?
one of those. But
talk about that.
So we had a similar setup with a big case, but with a glass cover on it. And we had a bunch of retail items, but then also things that we do for food service, like our elk French racks and the squab and partridge, and we had like kangaroo loins, and we ended up actually like taking out like some of the meats that we brought down fresh and like cooking them up. Like we ended up cooking up kangaroo loins, and I was yelling out and I was like, get some kangaroo, I know you've never tried it. And it was awesome. It's like such a hit. And we were doing sampling and we were doing the salamis. And that, I think, is a 2-day event, but that first day that we did it on Monday or on Tuesday is something like 11 or 12,000 people. And basically it is like, go, go, go. It was just me and our colleague Ace, who is the man. Love him. And from, I think it opened at 9
Can I say
a.m.
something?
Yeah.
Just for a frame of reference, working the fancy food show, the people, those of us who were there varied each day, but there was probably at least 5 of us, I think maybe exactly 5 of us there every day, manning that booth and talking to people, so that, 4 to 5 people basically at the booth all day, except for, little breaks.
Yeah.
And this show was just Ben and Ace.
Yeah. And it's a much smaller venue. I mean, it's still in a conference center, but the flow is totally different because Fancy Food is so big. And I mean, especially for me when I was at Fancy Food on Sunday, it's the slowest day that they have. A lot of people like might walk the show or something. And then the big days are Monday and Tuesday. Mm-hmm. For us at the show down in Florida, it was basically those 11 to 12,000 people within that 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. section. And so from the door to our booth, it was like 9:03, and then it did not stop all day. And there was a certain point where I was like, I feel like there's probably like 30 people standing in front of me, and I definitely can't talk to all of them. And they're all trying to ask questions because we were different. Right.
You were like in the Italian section at Fancy Foods, you have a couple people who are like making fresh pasta and they're tossing it around inside like the carved out, Parmesan wheel. And you got 15 people waiting for the pasta. That was you.
Yeah. Because it's so cool and different. Right. And like, next to us is someone who does like heritage chicken. There's like 4 different people who are doing beef. Boring. So we're there and everybody's just like, what do you guys carry? And we're like, literally everything. I was like, you ever heard of it? Walking or flying under the sun? We got it. And people were excited about
Sandhill
that.
Crane.
Yeah, no
Can't
Sandhill
always
Crane.
get what you want. Remember
don't ask us about it. Go watch that episode.
Yeah, watch that episode.
And I think I had somebody ask me about that when I was down there, but I don't really remember. It's kind of like a fever dream looking back at it.
And they actually,
they have a local culinary school. They have the students actually come and help at the booths and like cook up samples and stuff like that. So we had a girl helping us out, Nessa, she's great.
Oh, interesting.
And then she actually was like, oh, I'm like getting swamped. I'm going to call my friend who I go to culinary school with, and called her over. So they had 2 people helping us, and it still was not enough. And we got to the point where we had brought a bunch of samples down and we're like cutting salami. So you can get a lot of coins of salami off of like a 5-ounce stick, right? And we blew through all of that, and we were like digging into the display basically to get more product going on. Yeah.
Salami,
86 salami. I need 50 cc's of salami. But it was such a great show because people really genuinely get excited about that because it's different and they see something that's like eye-catching, and it's really rewarding to have all the effort that you don't really get to see in your day-to-day because, we're talking to people who use game or like work with higher end products, and then to work in this like larger format of like restaurants that are like just doing burgers, or like we only do like 1 or 2 things on the menu, or like we just have, we're in Atlanta and we happen to just do French fries and hot dogs. And they're like, oh, but like I never even thought about doing something like this. And they get super energized. And like by like 10 a.m., I was like, oh, I can't believe it's only been an hour. But then like you just get that lightning inside of you.
Yeah.
And the whole day just flies by of you just talking to people about something that you're genuinely passionate about. It's great. And then you leave the show and you walk out the door, and it was hot in New York, right? During a heat wave. And then you just go into what is regular Florida weather, 80% humidity, 92 degrees Fahrenheit. And you're just standing there in chinos and a tucked in polo, being like, man, this Uber's going to take forever to get here, but it's so worth it, and it's just exciting to see something like that. The distributor, by the way, is Cheney Brothers. We work with them. I don't know. I mean, it's not a secret or anything like that. They're a great partner to us. They were excited to have us. We were excited to be there. I hope to, again, do another show with them at some point. But these are, like you're saying, like the events that you and we don't get to see kind of that level or like that side of the industry that we work in. And to have like that many people do it and like that many people get excited about what we do. I mean, how do you feel about that? I feel like that kind of energizes me coming out of those seasons.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I just want to clarify when Ben says we don't get to see, I think he means like literally physically in person. Because
Yeah.
obviously we're in, we're in it and around it like all day. But no, I mean, they're very exciting. I think it's cool that you got to do, a different one. I've only ever done fancy.
So far.
But so far, yes. But yeah, I mean, their food shows are crazy. They are like a foodie's dream. There's tons of food and drinks, non-alcoholic, but I guess apparently also alcoholic.
Oh yeah, I definitely had like
Ben.
a number. Pick one. Pick a number between 0 and 10.
Okay. Anyway,
not 10. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're.
I would have been like, I'm walking home. I feel
literally
great.
okay. I'm just gonna. Okay, you can
really good lemonade. Though,
edit
I
that
will
out
say.
in post. Anyway, guys, this has been not too rambling. Actually, I think we held it together pretty well here. But I hope that you learned some stuff about food shows. I'm sorry that they're not open to the public, unfortunately.
But I didn't tell you, real quick, last story, but when I was at Fancy Food, I was walking around and I was like, Evan? And Evan is a friend of mine who actually lives in Morristown where you live.
Oh.
And he was walking around with his girlfriend and 2 other friends. And I was like, I know for a fact that you like do like some sort of security IT stuff and that has nothing to do with food. I've never seen you eat a computer keyboard. And he was like, oh yeah, like, this guy's friend's dad is in the industry and he like didn't want to go, so he just went and had the pass. And I was like, that's super cool. So if you know somebody and they're not going to Fancy Food, just have them sign up for it because it's really a great insight to a thing.
It's also very expensive, so
see.
They might not just sign up for it. But...
It's the cusp of like the new thing coming out to retail and food, and it's very exciting.
Yes, very exciting. Thank you for listening. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, all the different social medias, ask us questions, tell us how great we are. Wow, Ben. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
3, 2, 1.